Well, everyone, how's it going? I know it's been a while since we did an update on the TDI conversion, the how-to guide, and I don't want you thinking we've just given up on it, because far from it, to be quite honest. So here's a quick update as to what we've been doing, and by we I mean my brother, because it's been mainly welding, but some other stuff too. So the last time you joined us, we had a quick look at the underside of the Maroon Mk2 and seen just how bad it was. Bad, I think, really is an understatement. It was possibly the worst we've ever owned, Connor, I would say.
I might beat you to that, but I don't know yet.
That's the scary thing, we don't actually know yet.
Yeah, not sure.
Needless to say, it's been a mammoth task and the bodywork still isn't finished, not for lack of trying, there just is that much to do. If this wasn't a labour of love, I really probably would have given up on it by now. I think would be the sensible thing to do. But unfortunately, I'm mentally deranged and I'm destined to get this build through to the end. So here's a quick look at what I've been up to. Fuck!
Is that Honda 50 being nifty for you?
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Dick. Thanks everyone for the help. The stand's on the other side. Honda, why did you make it right-hand drive?
Right-hand drive motorcycles from Honda.
Honda!
So, how's COVID been?
Oh yeah, so we'll get to the Maroon Golf in a minute. We're kind of arranging as we go along, I suppose. Yeah, that's the reason there wasn't a video last week. We should clarify, because I seem to be the only one here out of the two of us that can make a video by himself, Connor. You could have had something uploaded last week, but you didn't.
I had one the week before.
Yeah, but I was sick. Could have took one for the team.
I was... yeah.
Yeah.
I was lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so unfortunately I caught the Katie, and so yeah, I wasn't well for an extended period of time and I had to stay away for 10 days. And I was thinking to myself, great, I'm going to get loads done, and I got the square root of nothing done because I was just wiped. So yeah, not going to sit here and wax lyrical about going and getting your being stabbed or whatever. Just be careful, guys, because if it gets you, it is pretty shitty. You can't work on your golf, for a start. That's the main thing. Never mind spreading it, you can't work on your golf. So yeah, unfortunately, I caught the thing and got nothing done. So apologies to our viewers who are hopefully expecting a video. I like to think we're at the point now where people expect a video every week.
At least somebody must do.
Somebody's bound to. I mean, we do give the illusion that we plan on doing this every week. And we do our best, to be fair. But, you know, things happen. As with your project car, sometimes you don't get as much done as you'd like. But anyway, yeah, so that's why there was no video last week. Just so you know. Can we talk about cars now?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's that out of the way, because I knew that was going to be brought up. Oh, look at the oil stain.
Are we going to talk about this car?
I don't normally let things defeat me when it comes to cars. Although this hasn't really defeated me. I didn't give it my all, I just got fed up. We all got fed up of it. The owner of it got fed up and bought a diesel Polo, which was the best thing she ever did.
That sounds quite sensible, actually.
It was very sensible, believe it or not, because she realised that the diesel is actually easier to drive than petrol when you're starting out.
Yeah. And
trying together to get into a Subaru may work sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. This time it didn't. So yeah, this is being taken away. But we're not making money on it. We're getting some money back, so that's what matters. And she's happy.
That's good.
Anyway, is there anything else you want an update on while we're out here?
Tell me about the camper.
Tell me about the lady boys. How's the 190 going? You tell me.
Like a clock.
Like a clock. That's about all there is to say on it, really.
It's good.
Fair
good
enough,
car.
yep. Good car hasn't broke. Okay. This. Oh, we have a lot to talk about this thing.
What is this? Oh.
The van. Well, it's a van again. Actually, there's so much to show with this, right? Okay. So first of all, we lowered it in our recent video, as you see.
Yeah, we did that video.
So since it's been lowered, I drove it for about a week and then it stopped working. But we'll get to that in a minute. So for now, it's a van. Now this used to be a van at one point. You can see in our Debbie video there. It used
said
to
badge on it.
It did, yeah. And it had a beacon on the roof, which is now back. But we got donated, very kindly donated by a friend of ours, Martin Neal. 10 out of 10, thank you very much. He donated a leather interior for Veronica. And well, obviously she's not ready for an interior anytime soon.
Thrown it in his face and you've put it in this car.
He was helping out with our build and I just shit on his face. No, I put the front seats into this for some comfort because these are GTI seats. I didn't realise how much comfier GTI seats are compared to non-GTI seats, but they really are. There's a beacon in the way.
That's my dad's beacon. You literally own a GTI. How did you not know?
Because it's been about 5 years from I had a GTI and a non-GTI on the road at the same time. So you forget these things, Connor.
Yeah,
you have bought 4 of the same car, so obviously you don't forget, but...
I always remember. Always.
The beacon remembers. Yeah, we got really drunk one night and I stole that from his dad. Basically. But anyway, come on round this side because that door doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
So this is now a van. As you can see, the back seats have been removed and our patent pending, because it's actually broken at the minute, our flat floor, which should have legs on it underneath here to make it flat. But this folds on up in when you're not using it and gives you a full flat floor for a Mark II Golf, turning it into a really practical wee van actually.
Camper even?
Yeah, I've used it for camping, for all sorts, but we will be selling these on demand if wanted. We haven't done it yet, but if you're interested in one, give us a shout and we'll look into it. But anyway, so this is now a van and I keep all my tools in the back, and anytime we go to purchase a new vehicle, we will take this because we have everything we need to get us home. And
we've done it a few times now.
We have done it a few times now with no tools. So
the boot's not full of tools.
The boot was not full of tools, but now the boot is full of tools. What else we got? The GTI is as it was. The yellow one is still untouched by the Veronicas.
Untouchable.
Look at that sky. It hasn't focused. Wow. Good Irish sunset. You love to see it.
What a lovely camper van.
I just love
camper vans.
I just love Fiat Ducatos. And the Skoda is now going as well. Here's a pro tip for you. If you want to take the intercooler out of a car really quickly, instead of messing about with taking out splash guards and taking the bumper off and all, just take a grinder to the bumper. And then you
yeah, that's a top tip.
You can take the intercooler right out. Saves you so much time. I had that intercooler out in about 10 minutes.
That's... yeah, wow. Okay.
Anyway, let's go back to the subject of this video, shall we? So, over here we have the topic itself of... the topic itself? That doesn't even make sense.
The topic of hot topic.
Here we have the main article of this whole conversion. This is the 1.9 TDI that's going into the maroon Golf here. Now, I've spent a bit of time blasting it all down, cleaning it all up, giving it a really nice finish. I've mostly serviced it. I've changed the oil out of it, or the oil's just drained out of it. The filter's ready to be changed. Every little gasket and seal and all has been replaced. Painted the block. I also have replaced the injectors with 130 brake injectors. Now, this engine is standard is a 90 brake. However, the only real difference between them is a map and injectors. So if you want a fairly quick and easy way to up the power of your TDI, injectors from a bigger engine will do. I believe these are from an Audi A4, a B5, I think it's a B5, the one that was the 90s touring car that was on the cover of Taka Touring Cars, that one.
Okay.
So this, along with a remap on our ECU, which is down in the back somewhere, this will bring it up to a comfortable 130 brake, and if I really wanted to, we could do some more fettling and tuning, but for now, just to get it running and reliable, we're going to go with this tried and tested setup. Now, another thing to note as well is that these engines do have an immobilizer in them, and the ECU that we got for these injectors has also had the immobilizer removed, so it's redundant. However, for the purpose of making it easier for people and to try and keep the budget down, because obviously I had to spend extra money on these injectors and the ECU, and we want to show how you can do this on a budget. So you don't have to do this, and in the videos I will show you how to wire it with the original immobilizer, because that's what I've done in the Blue Golf. So I'll show you both ways of doing it. The wires can still go in place now, and you can have them, but you don't actually need them. But yeah.
Nice.
So all that's left on this engine to be ready to go is I need to do a bit more cleaning on the back side of it, and I also need to get the timing belt done. I'm going to get my brother to do that because he's an actual mechanic, and this is the one thing that I really don't want to get messed up. So I'm going to let him time it on the stand. Finishing that, we will then take it off the stand, fit the flywheel back on and the clutch. However, when it comes to doing all that, we'll show you as we go along. Apart from that, that really is all there is to the engine. Now, we are keeping the power steering setup. This doesn't have aircon, and in Ireland...
you wouldn't need it.
In Ireland, we don't need aircon.
Aircon in Ireland.
You don't need it. Just put the windies down. But there is a guy doing this, a similar conversion on the 1.8T in America.
COVID.
Shut up. There's a guy doing this a video series in America on doing a 1.8T. He probably shows you how to do aircon because Americans think it's necessary, even though it's really not, but whatever. But I suppose we haven't had to put up with the summers that they put up with.
Yeah, you actually couldn't do without aircon in America.
Yeah. We're saying this like we're badass because we don't need it. No, we just have shit weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we won't be running aircon, so I won't be able to show you how to do that. However, I am running power steering, which is literally just any generic power steering pump from a Volkswagen from the time. So, what are you doing?
A sign of things to come.
Shut up! The sump bung's not in properly because I didn't want to waste the copper washer, you dick.
Wasted.
I also replaced the dipstick holder on that just because. Do you know how much it is for a new one of them?
For what, a dipstick?
For the funnel and all?
How much?
Less than £2.
Oh, that's a short dipstick.
That's the first time I've ever heard that. Sorry, Mercedes man. That dipstick goes from the front of the car to the back of the car, probably, just for the sake of it. So yeah, we will go in more depth about everything we're doing on this, but for now, really, the 130 injectors is about the only actual upgrade we've done here. All I'm doing is making it look pretty. So
Nice.
So that's us on the engine side of things.
Okay.
Now let's move on to the really big deal, which is the underside of Veronica. So this has been the brunt of this project so far, and I can't take any credit for it. I did making it look good with the Raptor and all, but this has all been my brother Chris's work, and I have to say it is some of the best welding I have ever seen, because looking at this you would never know it's been touched. So what I've done here is we've welded the whole thing, and we sealed the inside with weld through primer, which is well, as it sounds, it's a primer that you can spray on and weld through, and it just gives you an extra layer of protection on the body. Now we have done the entire inner sills with that stuff, and then on the outside here I have etch primed it. I have primed it regularly. I've painted it as well, which really is a bit unnecessary, but I have not taken any chances with this. And then over the top I have used HB Body Tough Liner, which is basically a Raptor equivalent, I suppose. And I've Raptored the whole underside of it in Gambia Red. And then to be extra sure, I've painted over the top of that again, just because I spent a lot of time on this floor, so I'm not taking any chances. So now we finally have some good solid floors, which really is the most important thing, because if you're adding more power into something, if the bodywork isn't fit to take it, it's just going to twist and get destroyed and you're wasting your time. So finally we have this floor basically ready to go. We still have to do the same with the back, because the back end is also really bad. However,
show me the rot.
Oh god. So in here, basically just all of this just doesn't exist anymore. It's all, oh, this was welded but not fixed or not cleaned up. But all down here is just, it's just rotten, really. Like you can actually see through the back at one point here. Like it's ridiculous. But to fix it, we have to take it. Oh no, all in there is okay. That's all
good, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just these rear chassis legs. But because they're the rear chassis legs, that is where the spit bolts onto.
Yeah.
So we can't actually work on them while it's on the spit. So we're going to have to rotate the car over again and then onto its roof fully. And then we can disassemble it from the spit and then properly weld it up. So sadly, we're not finished yet, but we are getting there. The majority of it is finished.
Yeah.
But that's why this whole video series has taken as long as it has, because, well, there's just so much to do. Now, that's about all there is to show for the underside. I'm still just in awe at how good this looks, because I'll put up some photos of it going along, but there was just nothing left.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was so bad. These two floors had to be completely removed. The two chassis legs were completely removed and remade from scratch and welded back in. The seat rails on the inside were the same. It was so bad. So I'm really, really glad to see her solid again. There were points where I was like, I don't know if I can even continue with this, but thankfully Chris probably just saw the dollar signs and was like, no, it's good, keep going. So but we are getting there. I want you guys to know we are getting there. It's just, it's a time-consuming process. Things don't happen as quickly as YouTube channels make you think they do.
Except ours, where it happens in painful real time.
Very painful real time. Like this started in March.
Yeah.
February, March, around that sort of time. It's now August, end of August.
Yeah.
Still not finished.
No.
Like, I didn't think this project was going to take a year, but it could be a year. Which is crazy. This should have been a couple of weeks, but it was just more and more and more rot. So, right, let's not get depressed by the underside. Yeah. There's still 2 more positive things to show you guys, and then that's it for this update, really. So
nice.
Well, I'll lay this out on the floor and talk about it, and then I'll show that I've done it with all the rest. What are you doing, you mong?
Here's a quick word from our sponsor. How does sponsor?
Alright, sponsor's alright. A lot of people have said they'll sponsor us. Sponsoring involves us still spending money. How does that work?
Answer me that, huh?
Riddle me this.
What have you got there?
So this is part of the absolute, well, what was an absolute mess of wires. Now, this itself here is the lighting wiring harness. Now, you don't need to use this if you don't want to, but all of the wires on my Mark II were just destroyed. I nearly fell over. So this is the Mark III wiring loom. Now, the difference is, it comes with a very handy one big plug, so you can just plug it into the main loom or unplug it, whatever you want. Now, it does change some of the ends and things like that, and there's extra lights there, but we'll worry about that when it comes to it. The point is more. Whilst I was bedridden and sick this week, I still wanted to do something, so I took the entire wiring loom, and that is a huge chunk of wires, let me tell you. Sorted them all out, labelled them all, checked all the wires if they needed any cleaning or tidying up or soldering or heat shrinking or anything like that. Made sure they're all perfect, cleaned all the plugs and labelled them. And it took forever. I mean, there was like 2 or 3 days worth of work in this, working out what wires I didn't actually need. For example, in the Mark III, each door, that's 4, in case you didn't know. I suppose the door, yeah, well, okay, there's 3 doors as well, fair enough, yeah. It was a 4-door anyway, and that meant there were 4 doors worth of wires that weren't actually compatible with the Mark II. You had your wireless, I nearly said wireless windows.
That's some job.
Yeah, Jesus, best technology. Electric windows, and you have your central lock-in, you have speakers and all sorts of things that I just don't need nor want in this. It doesn't need electric windows. I'm quite happy to have my wee spinny windy boys. I want it to be still sort of retro, you know. So that was 4 doors worth of wiring looms I could take out of it, and then there were other things like the rest of the central locking system, the alarm system. What else is there?
One of Mark III that Mark II didn't have.
Yeah, all of the speakers and all that stuff. I want to run my own looms for that to make hefty, heavy-duty wires. What are you looking at me like that for? What?
No, right.
What?
Was there a wire to make the Mark III like an uglier car? Is that how that worked?
I can see why you didn't say it.
It's just stupid.
Didn't even warrant saying. But anyway, so whilst this looks like a nice wee tidy piece of work, I had to do this to so many more wires. Now we have so many little looms here. I did it with this one, labelled each and every one, checked where they all go in the fuse box, labelled them all. Really, you should actually start this before you take the loom out of the car. notating where they all go and stuff, but I like to do things difficultly, I suppose. Then I took the main wiring loom, which is the one that goes to the ECU and all of the engine controls and all that, and did the exact same again. Labeled it all, tidied it all up, cleaned it, made sure none of the wires had any breaks. So in theory, when I go to plug it all in, it should work.
Right.
In theory.
In theory.
Nothing ever works that simply, but we'll see how we get on. All I can do is say that I did what I could.
Yeah.
So all of it has been labeled. I know what it all is. So hopefully this should be a nice simple process of putting it all back together. Now there is one slight issue, and that is that, well, obviously, well, I suppose it's not obvious if you don't know what you're talking about, but on a Mark III, some things are routed differently. Case in point, in the Mark II, if they have an ECU like a GTI, it will be up here. On a Mark III, it's over here, which means the wires are shorter or longer depending on, you know, what hand drive you have and so on. So the routing of the wires isn't necessarily that easy. I had this problem with the blue one because I wanted to keep 2 looms because I was 18 and really didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Extra loom.
Yeah,
Extra.
sue me, I suppose. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing there, and wires were stretching and just putting extra wear on them they didn't need. So I would be much more careful with how to route it this time. However, to make it a bit easier, the B4 Passat, if you get a TDI of it, it has everything in the same place as a Mark II, meaning that everything is a little bit tidier. You don't have to do this, but if you want your bay to look really, really tidy, it's something you can think about if you can find one. As well as this, since it's here and I can show you, I cleaned up the master cylinder. Now this
looks good.
It does, doesn't it? I'm actually quite pleased with it.
Yeah.
Now this is from the Mark III as well, because I will be taking absolutely everything from the Mark III. Now the Mark II one, because this was originally a Mark II Golf straight diesel, it was like 40 horsepower, which is nothing. Why am I wet? I have no idea. Okay. It had a smaller brake booster because obviously they didn't have as powerful brakes. Now I'm taking the entire braking system and upgrading the front brakes to be bigger, so I just figured it wasn't worth guesswork. Just take it off the Mark III and be done with it. Now it fits straight in, there's no extra cutting, no effort, no nothing. This will bolt straight on to your Mark II. Now there is one thing, because there's always something, the fitment from your brake pedal, I believe going into the master cylinder is different. The Mark III one is threaded in some way and the Mark II one is a clip. I will look into this more whenever we go to fit our pedal box and stuff, and I'll explain more then, but it is something to be wary of. The brake booster will fit, but the master cylinder is different, so just watch for that.
Alright, sounds good.
This is all off the top of my head. Hey, I'm a fucking nerd.
What are those?
What are those? So this is the second last thing I have to show you here in this video. Now, I never normally spend money on suspension, like ever, and actually now I think about it, these are like the cheapest coilovers you can buy, so I still haven't really spent much money. But a friend of mine has them and gives them really, really good reviews. I've never fitted a set of coilovers in my life, so I have no idea what any of this stuff even does, but they're yellow and shiny, so that's a win for me. Now, this is the front and this is the back. The back ones are a direct fit, as far as I'm aware. I have opted for Mark III stuff, purely because everything I'm bolting to this car is Mark III. They will fit, because Mark III stuff is basically the same, but just so that I know down the line that everything is easier for me to think about, I've went for Mark III. It means I can go to any garage or shop and just say, give them the registration of the Mark III and get any part I need without thinking, is it from this, is it from that, where is it from, what car is it off? Everything is off the Mark III, so I don't have to worry. Anyway, so that's the back one. Back ones are fairly standard, there's nothing really to say about them. However, there is some stuff I need to say about the fronts. Again, these are Mark III units, however, now don't ask me why, because I don't quite know, but I have been told that early Mark IIs and late Mark IIs have different strut top mounts. The late Mark IIs have the same strut top mounts as an early Mark III, whereas an early Mark II, I'm not entirely sure of the year, if I learn I will put it down here below me, early ones have a different style setup top mount than a late one. This being a 1984 model, it does have the early type. However, I own late and early Mark IIs. I have looked at the strut tops, like the positioning on the car. They are identical. So quite why they feel the need to say there's differences between them. I'm not sure, but for the sake of somebody coming in the comments and saying, oh, but I heard they're different. People say they're different, so do what you want. But I went for the late Mark II, early Mark III style, just because it's a really hefty unit and I get the feeling it'll do a bit better than the Mark II. And if they changed it in later ones, they probably changed it for the better, realistically. That's how I look at it. You don't change something that's good unless you're Volkswagen and you release the Mark III. Hey! But yeah, so I went with the later ones just because, really. But that's something you need to keep in mind when it comes to doing your fronts. I can't wait to see how it looks low.
So low.
Because I haven't told anybody else on the internet what wheels I'm going for yet. So
Oh yeah.
I think this lowered with the wheels I'm going to go for. Aye, puppy.
Mystery wheels.
Mystery wheels. Yeah. So that is the second last thing. Now, the last thing is something that has taken me a very, very long time to do. So we'll grab it out from around the back. I have quite a few things to say about it, so let's go. Okay, so this took me an extended period of time. This is the subframe setup. Now, this is the subframe itself from a Mark III, because basically everything here is from a Mark III. But there is a reason I took this. Now, they are essentially the same, yes, but they are different.
How?
Well, I'm about to explain some shit to you, Connor. Basically, right, so the mounting system for the engines in the Mark III is different than the Mark II. Now, some people will say, oh, VR6 subframe's wider. It is not. Your wishbones are wider. Your subframe is not. The subframes are all the same on a Mark III. They are different to a Mark II. But anyway, so on a Mark III, you have these big bios here, and these are where your engine mounts go into. These operate very differently than a Mark II setup. What way am I looking at this? Right, this is gearbox side, this is engine side. Engine side is slightly different. It's not super different, but it's slightly different. The main difference is you have one bolt hole here, whereas on a Mark II setup, why am I pointing at a Mark III setup? On a Mark II setup, you have 3 bolt holes to deal with on your mount. On a Mark III, you have 1.
Okay.
Now what this does is it just makes it a little bit easier to faff about with engine mounts and all that. Now your engine mount itself on the engine side will be different because obviously it only has 1 hole, which allows for a bit more room for turbos and stuff like that. So the engine mount is different. Now what's definitely different is the gearbox mount because it's the same. It's a 1 single hole because it's designed to take an O2J gearbox from a Mark III as opposed to an O2O gearbox from a Mark II. The O2O gearbox is a different setup altogether, but anyway. However, if you are using the likes of Fabless mounts, the company Fabless, I believe they all want you to use Mark III subframe because their mounts work better with a Mark III subframe or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but your mounts are different. Other than that, you have this where would be a counterweight here. Mark III TDIs have a counterweight. I am not entirely sure why. I have absolutely no use for it.
What are they countering for?
I have no idea. Probably how heavy the car is because it's so ugly.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
Just the weight of all that ugliness in your car.
It's the weight of its conscience. But anyway, yeah, so there's a counterbalance here, which I've just taken off because really there's no need for it. A Mark II doesn't need it. I've taken it off. The bracket is still there because I couldn't be bothered grinding it out, but
nice.
it's there. Now, I am running Mark III wishbones, anti-roll bar mounts, power steering rack, and ball joints. Now, this is because this is a TDI Mark II, or TDI Mark III, sorry, which has 4 bolt holes on the wheels. It's a 4-stud pattern. That means it's what's known as a narrow track as opposed to a wide track. Now, there is a common misconception that all Mark IIIs are wide track. This isn't the case. VR6 Mark IIIs are a wide track. There may be another one, but most of them are all narrow track. Oh, GTIs are a wide track. They have a 5-stud as well. Okay. But anyway, if it has 5-stud wheels, it's a wide track. And wide track will make your wheels poke out a little bit more on a Mark II, but it's not that noticeable. People go on like it's the be-all end-all. It's really not. But if you want to go wide track, work away. But this is a narrow track setup, so I will have no changes whatsoever. Therefore, all of your Mark III bits will fit straight onto your Mark II with no modifications.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind when I'm doing mine.
Ah, thanks, bye. So yes, and same goes for your power steering, because obviously your track is the same, so your track rods don't need to be changed. Well, I've changed them because mine were done, but
Yeah.
you know, you can use Mark 3 ones straight onto a Mark 2. This is an entire Mark 3 setup, and it's going to go straight onto a Mark 2 with no issues. So you may have some dicking about to do if you go wide track. I'm going for simplicity here, and I want to keep more retro wheels, so I'm happy enough to stay 4-stud.
Okay.
So the only thing missing here is the anti-roll bar isn't on yet, purely because I forgot to order anti-roll bar bushes. So well, no, I ordered the bushes, I forgot to order the brackets, so they're still not on yet. But other than that, this is a full setup ready to go onto the car, which means that whenever that floor is done, we should be a rolling shell in a very, very short space of time, which is exciting. Yep, so I'll turn it over to the other side just so you can see. Actually, there's nothing really to see, so
you're not getting to see anything.
Yeah, let's just drop that back there. But anyway, so yes, that is about all we have to show so far on the Mark III to Mark II conversion. If you have any questions about what I've said so far, feel free to drop us a comment. No matter how old the video is, if we see a comment, we will respond to it, because we just want to talk to people because we're sad. And if you are having any problems, send me a message on Facebook. It's at Tom, or not at, that's Instagram. Send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, Tom Patterson. I'm more than happy to help. Or if I don't know, I will 100% know somebody who does know. So feel free to give me a message if you're stuck. So yes, that's everything for now. I'd really like to get more done in this project, but it depends on how that floor goes. But thankfully, myself and Connor here have enough stupid other cars to keep us going for content.
We certainly do.
Yep. So yeah, so be sure to follow both of us on Instagram. I'm Tom Patterson. Guy behind the camera here.
Hughes Corporation.
Did you have to think about that?
Yeah, a little bit.
You haven't changed it in ages and you had to think about that?
A little bit.
Yes, Hughes Corporation. Check out Chrissy, our usual camera lady, on Instagram at Chrissy Ewens, or at Chrissy Ewens. And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Good
luck.